Hey, everybody, welcome to the stream. You know, normally I would start with minutes or even a half hour of songs and various videos, but we just have something so huge that just went down that I do want to start with breaking news. Actor Mark Hamill of Luke Skywalker and Star Wars fame, he has just followed me on Twitter. So this is a David Pakman Show exclusive. Luke Skywalker himself is now in the system. And rumor has it that they're looking for something completely off the rails and immoral to do in the next Star Wars. And he heard our discounts are so big. It's sort of like, you know, even for Darth Vader, it would be low. And so he's exploring just like how big are the discounts and are they immoral? And maybe that would be what the Empire does that is disgusting to people on the next episode. So big irony there about everything that's going on. No, I'm kind of kidding, but that was cool to see. I've been following him for a really long time. Today, why are we here today? I actually don't know. We're here because we are going to hear from President Joe Biden commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And he is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I know that people expecting me to say Tulsa. We only do that when we're making fun of Tulsi, but this is actually serious. He's in Tulsa. I know it's pronounced Tulsa, and that is today, and that is starting momentarily. But I'm glad to have time to chat with people. Let's make sure we have audio here, so as soon as they go live, we will hear it, because I have so many different things to talk about. Now, let me say at the top, I don't have any unban requests today. There's just none. So I have no unban requests today to adjudicate, but I have tons and tons and tons of different things. And I may even, this is something I'm thinking about. I may preview for you my just recorded interview with Noam Chomsky. Nobody missed anything. It's part of today's show, which will be out soon. It's already out for members. Hello. And I'll maybe play a clip. We actually spoke about, Noam Chomsky has these historic viral debates that you can watch on YouTube. One with William F. Buckley, another one with Michel Foucault. There's many of them. And we talked about them, and he actually gave us some anecdotes, heretofore unknown stories about the behind the scenes of many of those debates. And we're going to be talking about that. I do want to mention to people that we did the sort of soft launch of the second YouTube channel last week, and many of you dumped in some memberships. We're already at 1,400 subscribers on the second YouTube channel. The first video has been published. We have a nice little top banner. We now already have about 7 or 8 clips that are going to be published here over the course of the next week. This is going to be all different content. If you want like a break from politics, this channel is going to be, and you can find it at davidpakman.com/PakmanLive. Okay, that's how you can find it. This channel is going to have funny moments from streams, more, mimetic elements. We've got a brand new garden tour that's going to be published, which I might even preview today on stream if we were to get to our 100 member goal. It's going to be a totally different thing, and it'll be way fewer clips. So for people who don't like, I don't know, anything, it'll give you something new to complain about. And for people who like things, it will give you something new to look at. Okay. I guess that's the sort of story. So that's Pakman Live, davidpakman.com/PakmanLive. Maybe I would even play drums. In fact, maybe I will say when we get our first 10,000 subscribers on this new channel, maybe I will do a drum cover. Why not, right? Why not? I think that would be a really, really great thing. What else? Oh, yeah. And we also are tracking, obviously, the Twitch follower numbers. We are working on our first 100,000. We seem to have lost some followers since I went live. Some people clearly made very angry by me going live. That's crazy. I thought you were supposed to stream. I thought that was the idea of Twitch. Some people furious that I started streaming and they unfollowed, but we are working on that as well. But very exciting stuff with this second YouTube channel. And I'll preview some of the things that are going to be on there very, very soon. Okay, as we stand by, hold on. I want to say thank you to Walida HC for the Twitch Prime sub. That's it, just number one. Oh, and also ODW has just subscribed for 8 months and is number 2. If you missed yesterday's Memorial Day membership discount, it's Memorial 21. That's the code, Memorial 21. And then we also have Felony 21. Now, by the way, let's talk about Felony 21. This is great. Hold on a second. Oh, this is beautiful. So last week we were covering the America First rally with Congressman Gates and Green, and someone actually sent a super chat. Let me see if I can put this up on screen here. Somebody sent a super chat to the Right Side Broadcasting stream saying, "You are doing God's work, Laura. David Pakman code Felony 21." And she read it and she seemed to have no idea what was going on. It's really good. So let's check this out. Let me make sure I have the volume right. This is great. I love the fact that everybody went over to the Right Side Broadcasting stream and just took over the chat there. Let's listen together.
I said, "You are doing God's work, Laura. David Pakman, code Felony 21. Thank you very much, Colin.
Yeah. Great message from Colin.
And he used my official name, Laura. So I don't know if you mean Laura Trump or me, but I will take it. Most of the time I go by Liz. So if you didn't know, my official name is Laura Elizabeth.
I should actually go back even a hair more just so we can really hear the lead up. Hold on.
Google Play, Roku, or Amazon Fire, as well as the Android App Store. All you have to do is search RSBN for all of those, and it'll
syntactically, I never understand what this woman's talking about.
Pull up. Super easy and a great way for you to enjoy our programming. Again, we're working towards 24-hour programming here today.
Dear God, imagine that.
So we're so close to having that completely nailed down immediately after today's event.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. This is way before it. Here it is. There we go.
You need to go to these events and broadcast them out for you guys. If you appreciate them, if you like them, and you're able, please consider donating. Looks like we did get a $5 donation from Colin Poole. I said, "You are doing God's work, Laura." David Pakman, code Felony 21.
the only super chat is Colin trolling her so that it ends up on the stream. It looks like we finally got one of these super chats. And it's one of our viewers. Very nicely done. And that type of what would we call it? It's sort of like ancillary content or tangential content. That stuff will get featured really nicely. So that was really good. Few super chats. The family says, "Did you like Pete Buttigieg when he was running? Do you think he is robotic?" Pete Buttigieg was not at the top of my list, but I recognize that he's a very good, he's really, really good in these situations like on Fox News and others that we've covered, but I wasn't like supporting Mayor Pete. David, what do you think of disgraced General Flynn and his Myanmar Alago coup endorsement? We have a long and wide segment about that on today's podcast. I have a lot to say about it. Pear says, "Feel your live channel added. Have some housewarming." Yes, we have a redirect now set up. The second Pakman channel, Pakman Live, is live at davidpakman.com/Pakman Live. We are going, I have committed to a drum cover at the 10,000 subscriber mark, which is cool. And then pushing for the first 100,000 followers on Twitch. And unfortunately, we've lost 10 during the stream. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Next. What do I have next? Oh, thank you to Justin Andrew Watson, as well as, just Justin Andrew Watson for the Twitch sub. I will review my latest. I just filmed a garden video. And I will release it today. You guys hear that? That was weird. I will release that today if we get our member goal. I got somebody who emailed me angry that I showed my garden. You know, I always think there's something that people won't be angry about. There's something that will just be completely innocuous. And someone wrote to me saying that it was arrogant for me to waste my audience's time with my stinkweeds. So even something as completely inoffensive as just a garden, like it's just vegetables. And somebody said it was pompous and arrogant of me to show my stinkweeds to the audience. It's really unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's do, okay. We've gone really strong. Now with that we've grown our team from 3 to 4. we are focusing heavily. Whoa. We are focusing heavily on TikTok, okay? We clipped the segment about a flat white and gay semen from last week. It got like 40,000 views on TikTok and a ton of duets, or duets, as some people call them. Just as a reminder, this is the clip. Here we go.
In their coffee to make it taste good. Where did that come from?
Gays tend to love each other's semen, and it flavors up the coffee. They like the taste of it.
It flavors it up.
Okay, so as a result, we got so many funny videos that people did. I'm just going to show you some of them. I love this. This is a whole new area of content. Here we go.
This is gay semen in their coffee.
Oh, hold on. This is way too loud. Hold on. Let's turn it down. Okay, here we go.
To make it taste good. Where did that come from?
Gays.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my God.
Welcome to another episode of Me Blending.
This website is toxic. You can't even see anything.
To make it taste good. Where did that come from?
Gays.
Starbucks use.
Okay, so that's one. Man, it's just really hard to navigate this crap. All right, let's look at another one.
Gay semen in their coffee to make it taste good.
Going to Starbucks. Happy Pride.
Okay. Oh my God. It just goes on to the next one. Let me just go through a couple more of these.
Uses gay semen in their coffee to make it taste good.
Is anybody else wondering why it has to be gay semen?
I asked the same question.
Does it taste different?
I asked the exact same question. Oh my God.
I'm curious now.
Now the audio won't stop. All right. So the interfaces are just horrible, but let's just look at a couple of others. Okay. Reactions.
In their coffee to make it taste good.
Okay.
Starbucks
All right.
uses gay semen in.
And then one last one. These are just duets done in reaction to the clip from the last live stream, which got put on TikTok. You know, it's all derivative content. Here we go. Last one.
Starbucks uses gay semen in their coffee to make it taste good. Starbucks uses gay
Anyway,
semen.
Whoa, oh my God. I think people get it. All right. So that's the flat white content from TikTok. All right. Very good. Make sure you're following us on TikTok. A few other super chats coming in. Junie says, who do you think will be indicted first, Rudy Giuliani or Matt Gaetz? I think Gaetz. Marjorie Taylor Packman says, could you sell your coffee at 2 million subs? Could I sell my coffee, like sell it out or what? I don't know what that means. I do want to say thank you to Stephen Harvard. Stephen Harvard just signed up with coupon code Memorial21 at joinpacman.com. Thank you, Stephen. Shelby Stevens, thanks for the website subscription using coupon code Memorial21. Also, thank you to Nick Martin, who just signed up at joinpacman.com with coupon code Memorial21. Lastly, thanks to Matt Couchois for signing up at joinpacman.com using coupon code Memorial21. That's 4. Also, thank you to Chief Boris as well as Beat Nizzle and Colors ATK for the Twitch subs. So I've got that out of the way. Let me see what else I've got. We did our Starbucks clips. I still have my Chomsky stuff. Oh, we do. Here's a new contest, okay? I would love for people to do a new channel intro. This would be like a 1.5 to 3 second video intro, which will be the intro animated on the new Pacman Live channel. As many of you know, we launched this channel last week. We're working on our first 2,000 subscribers. You can find it at davidpacman.com/PacmanLive. But here's an opportunity. I would love people to make these got to be quick little intros that we drop in at the beginning for Pacman Live. And anything is on the table. The more creative, the better. 1.5 to 3 seconds. Send them to info@davidpakman.com. We'll do a contest. The audience will vote on an upcoming stream for the intro video for all of our new channel clips. All right. Very exciting stuff. Chomsky. Okay. Yeah, let's do the Chomsky thing. So I interviewed Noam Chomsky today. Let me pull this up. I'm just going to preview this for you. Now, if you were a member, you'd be able to already see the bulk of this interview. I'm just going to play a few seconds for you. And I hope people like this. One of the things we discussed was his viral debates with Michel Foucault and William F. Buckley. And here is, this is a little preview, okay? Preview of what, as a member, you could already have access to.
All that is inconceivable today.
Professor, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I did want to get your thoughts on, some of the debates you participated in over the years with William F. Buckley, with Foucault, and so many others that still are so watched on YouTube and other platforms today. In thinking back to them now, what stands out about them? What do you remember? What seems to you to be notable about them as somebody who participated in them and was there in the room for many of those conversations?
Well, they're different. Foucault, serious person. We were talking about real issues. You can have an opinion on them, but with Buckley, it was quite different. My impression of Buckley was that he was just a fraud. I mean, he had a nice style, he spoke as if he knew what he was talking about. As soon as you look at the debate, you can see it. As soon as you get into any particular issue, he quickly changes the subject because he basically doesn't know anything about it. He can try to overwhelm you with his rhetorical style and so on. I thought he was all surface. In fact, you couldn't see it in the debate, but at the end, he was so infuriated that he left the studio screaming at me, saying, have you back and show you a thing or two or something like that. That wasn't recorded. But my impression of him was that if he just kept calm and quiet and tried to talk about issues, it would collapse.
What was Foucault, or are there others that in thinking back you say, this is someone who challenged me not just rhetorically, but really substantively? This was really where I was the most challenged.
Well, we disagreed on a number of things, but at least we were talking about real issues. I should say that there's a little background to that. Foucault, I don't know any French. Foucault doesn't speak English, but we spent the afternoon together before the debate, just walking around the Dutch countryside, partly just because we wanted to talk to each other informally.
By the way, guys, I understand that his computer kept dinging. What am I going to do, right? I mean, what am I going to do? Stop the... Sir, could you get out of your email and then also mute this other I mean, what was I going to do?
But partly to see if we could get by with him talking French and me talking English. Or did we need a translator? So we figured we could kind of make it and we decided to wing it and do it without a translator, which sort of worked. But I should tell you something else.
This is good.
Which didn't show on the television.
Yeah.
Foucault, is totally bald.
Yes.
The moderator, Fons Elders, is a very interesting person. He was a Dutch anarchist. There was a Dutch anarchist movement at that time, which was doing all sorts of things like...
By the way, understand that Michel Foucault died, I think, in 1984, and the debate must have been in the 60s or 70s. He's just talking about the day of. This must have been 50 years ago or something like that, and remembers the moderator and the specifics. I mean, it is actually pretty notable.
Giving LSD to horses at fancy horse shows so that they jump all over the place, making fun of the women. On the way to the studio, Von Zelder stopped at his apartment, went upstairs, came down. He had a bright red wig in his hand, and through the whole debate, if you notice closely, he was nudging Foucault and saying, "Put it on, put it on."
That is an incredible detail. So there it is. The full conversation with Noam Chomsky will be live tonight. But if you are a member, you can already get access to the vast majority of it, which is a really great thing. All right. Very exciting stuff. I want to say welcome to Raquel Al-Hakab, who just signed up at joinpacman.com with the coupon code Memorial21. Thank you, Raquel. Your new member number 11 today. Also on Twitch, welcome to Andrew Dale with the Twitch sub, as well as Dirtnap, Tampst, Chief Boris. Who else? Oh, wait, no, Chief Boris I already thanked. Yeah, so that's just 3, putting us at 14 as we stand by here for Joe Biden. Let me see what else. So we've done channel intro, Chomsky. Very good. Oh, yeah. Who got the first comment? So this is from the new YouTube channel. The first comment ever on the channel was someone named Icy Dat Boy 96 got the first comment ever on the new channel. It was an historic moment. And then Snosky got the second one with Damn Beat Me To It. So to the extent that that's something to celebrate, those are the people who got the first comments on the new YouTube channel and new content coming to that channel. I think as soon as tomorrow, probably. I think that's where things are looking. And I would invite you to head on over. You can go to davidpacman.com/PacmanLive. We dumped in the first 1,500 subscribers pretty quickly. And you could be number 1511, which is great, which is fantastic. And make sure, of course, that you're also following over on Twitch, a really, really important place to follow. Hard to imagine, really, a more important place to be following anybody. Standing by for Joe Biden. Oh, okay, voicemails. Yeah, let's do voicemails. I have a whole bunch of different voicemails. Let me see here. Let's just start going through them. So-called normal voicemails. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Mr. Pacman, sir. No, big fan. Anyway, you had a person on yesterday talking about the New York City.
All right, here's Joe Biden. So let's go. We'll get back to those voicemails. We'll mute here. Joe Biden in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Looking light on his feet.
When I enrolled as an undergraduate at the University of Pennsylvania, my grandmother gave me a manuscript written by her great-grandfather, J.B. Stratford. University of Pennsylvania.
Here we go.
My grandmother gave me a manuscript written by her great-grandfather, J.B. Stratford. It was a memoir that began with J.B.'s father buying his own freedom from enslavement in Versailles, Kentucky, and continued through J.B.'s life as a successful business owner and hotelier in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was by reading this memoir that I understood a part of family history that had only been spoken about in whisper. The Tulsa Race Massacre that had destroyed our family business and criminalized our patriarch, J.B. Stratford. Educated at Oberlin College and Indianapolis Law School, J.B. had a hotel business in Tulsa that would have been worth over $2 million in today's money. His hotel, the 54-room Stratford Hotel on the historic Greenwood Avenue, was sacked and burned to the ground during the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, along with over 30 square blocks of Black-owned property, causing him to flee to Kansas and later to Chicago to save his own life. He was falsely indicted for inciting the riot by an inflamed white grand jury for daring to stand up with his community to stop a mob from breaking into the jail and lynching a Black teenager named Dick Rowland, sparking the backlash which ended in the grievous massacre. My family worked to get these charges against JB dropped posthumously. I know how lucky I am to have this family history passed down from generation to generation. This history was the one thing that they were not able to steal from us. But as thankful as I am to know my history, I understand that history has no firm line to divide it from the present. Just as there are survivors still with us today from this tragic event, the mentality of the mob to declare that there would never again be another Black Wall Street in Tulsa, that mentality also still survives in many institutions and unfortunately in many people's hearts. Today, we welcome President Joe Biden here to stand beside us as we continue the fight for justice for the survivors and descendants of the Tulsa Massacre. He understands that as a nation, we are and we must be strong enough to confront the dark periods of our history with a bold agenda of equity, repair, and healing. J.B. Stratford died without seeing justice for the crimes against him and his community. But I am sure we will see justice in my lifetime, thanks to the efforts of all of you here joining us today. And now, I introduce to you President Joe Biden.
I believe I remember roughly a year ago, Trump also did something in Tulsa. It was completely humiliating, as I recall. I believe we covered it.
Well, thank you. Please, if you have a seat, sit down. And I got to make one check here.
Uh-oh. He's off script. Did he say ice cream?
I just had to make sure the two girls got ice cream when this is over.
I knew I heard ice cream there,
Imagine
yeah.
how excited you'd be when you're 4, 5, almost 5 years old, coming to hear a president speak.
Trump would have thought that was a 14-year-old. He can't tell what age kids are.
Call that purgatory. Lauren, thank you for that gracious introduction. And in case you were wondering, in Delaware, we're a small state. We have the 8th largest Black population in America, and we have one of the most talented members of Congress. And so if I didn't walk around and pay my tribute to Lisa Blunt Rochester, my congresswoman, immediately, that was... How are you, Rev? Good to see you. We've got a distinguished group of people here, and I want to thank Lauren for sharing the powerful story and for helping the country understand what's happening here. And to all the descendants here today, and to the community and civil rights leaders and members of the Congressional Black Caucus that are here, thank you for making sure we all remember and we never forget. You know, there's a verse in 1 Corinthians that says, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face, now I know in part, then I shall know fully.
Shouldn't it be 1 Corinthian?
I just
That's a joke.
toured the Hall of Survivors here in Greenwood Cultural Center. And I want to thank the incredible staff for hosting us here. And I mean that sincerely. Thank you. And if I didn't say what my father would insist on, please excuse my back. I apologize. But in the tour I met Mother Randall, who's only 56 years old. God love her. And Mother Fletcher, who's
must be an 80-year-old woman. I don't know.
Old. And her brother Van Ellis, who's 100 years old. And he looks like he's 60. Thank you for spending so much time with me. I really mean it. It was a great honor, a genuine honor. You are the 3 known remaining survivors of a story seen in the mirror dimly, but no longer. Now your story will be known in full view. The events we speak of today took place 100 years ago, and yet I'm the first president in 100 years ever to come to Tulsa.
Wait, now didn't Trump go last year? I could have sworn Trump went.
But to think about it, 100 years and the first president to be here during that entire time. And in this place, in this ground, to acknowledge the truth of what took place here. For much too long, the history of what took place here was told in silence, cloaked in darkness. But just because history is silent, it doesn't mean that it did not take place. And while darkness can hide much, it erases nothing. It erases nothing. Some injustices are so heinous, so horrific, so grievous.
Right, Trump was there for Juneteenth, not the Tulsa Massacre, but it was in Tulsa.
And so it is here. Only with truth can come healing and justice and repair. Only with truth. Facing it. But that isn't enough. First, we have to see, hear, and give respect to Mother Randall, Mother Fletcher, and Mr. Van Ellis. And to all those lost so many years ago, to all the descendants of those who suffered, to this community, that's why we're here, to shine a light, to make sure America knows the story in full. May 1921, formerly enslaved black people and their descendants are here in Tulsa, a boomtown of oil and opportunity in a new frontier. On the north side, across the rail tracks that divided the city already segregated by law, they built something of their own, worthy of their talent and their ambition. Greenwood, a community, a way of life. Black doctors and lawyers, pastors, teachers, running hospitals, law practices, libraries, churches, schools. Black veterans, like the man I had the privilege of giving a command coin to, who fought, volunteered and fought and came home and still face such prejudice.
Right.
Veterans have been back a few years helping after winning the First World War, building a new life back home with pride and confidence. Where mom and there were at the time, mom and pop black diners, grocery stores, barbershops, tailors, the things that make up a community. At the Dreamland Theater, a young black couple holding hands, falling in love. Friends gathered at music clubs and pool halls, at the Monroe family roller skating rink, visitors staying in hotels like the Stratford. All around, Black pride shared by the professional class and the working class, who lived together side by side for blocks on end. Mother Randall was just 6 years old. 6 years old, living with her grandma. She said she was lucky to have a home and toys and fortunate to live without fear. Mother Fletcher was 7 years old, the second of 7 children, the youngest being Mr. Van Ellis, was just a few months old. The children, former sharecroppers, when they went to bed at night in Greenwood, Mother Fletcher says they fell asleep rich in terms of the wealth, not real wealth, but a different wealth, a wealth in culture and community and heritage. But one night changed everything. Everything changed. While Greenwood was a community to itself, it was not separated from the outside. It wasn't everyone, but there was enough hate, resentment, and vengeance in the community. Enough people who believed that America does not belong to everyone and not everyone is created equal. Native Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, a belief enforced by law, by badge, by hood, and by noose that speaks to that lit the fuse. It lit it by the spark that it provided. A fuse of fury was an innocent interaction that turned into a terrible, terrible headline allegation of a black male teenager attacking a white female teenager. A white mob of 1,000 gathered around the courthouse where the black teenager is being held. Ready to do what still occurred, lynch that young man that night. But 75 black men, including black veterans, arrived to stand guard. Words were exchanged, then a scuffle, then shots fired. Hell was unleashed. Literal hell was unleashed. Through the night and into the morning, the mob terrorized Greenwood, torches and guns, shooting at will. A mob tied a black man by the waist to the back of their truck with his head banging along the pavement as they drove off. A murdered black family draped over the fence of their home outside. An elderly couple knelt by their bed praying to God with their heart and their soul when they were shot in the back of their heads. Private planes dropping explosives. The first and only domestic aerial assault of its kind on an American city, here in Tulsa. 8 of Greenwood's nearly 24 churches burned like Mount Zion across the street at Vernon AME. Mother Randall said it was like a war. Mother Fletcher says all these years later, she still sees black bodies around. The Greenwood newspaper publisher, A.J. Smitherman, penned a poem of what he heard and felt that night. And here's the poem. He said, kill them, burn them, set the pace, teach them how to keep their place.
I should have predicted, but we're banning so many people for racism in the chat. It's really crazy.
That's what he remembers in the poem that he wrote. 100 years ago, at this hour, on this first day of June, smoke darkened the Tulsa sky, rising from 35 blocks of Greenwood that were left in ash and ember, raised in rubble. Less than 24 hours, 1,100 black homes and businesses were lost. Insurance companies, they had insurance, many of them, rejected claims of damage. 10,000 people were left destitute and homeless, placed in internment camps. As I was told today, they were told, don't you mention you were ever in a camp, or we'll come and get you. That's what survivors told me. Yet no arrests of the mob were made. None. No proper accounting of the dead. The death toll records by local officials said there were 36 people. That's all. 36 people. Based on studies, records, and accounts, the likely number is much more in the multiple of hundreds. Untold bodies dumped into mass graves. Families who at a time waited for hours and days to know the fate of their loved ones are now descendants who have gone 100 years without closure. But you know, as we speak, the process of exhuming the unmarked graves has started. And at this moment, I'd like to pause for a moment of silence for the fathers, the mothers, the sisters, sons and daughters, friends of God and Greenwood.
Wow.
They deserve the dignity and they deserve our respect. May their souls rest in peace. My fellow Americans, this was not a riot. This was a massacre. Among the worst in our history, but not the only one. And for too long, forgotten by our history. As soon as it happened, there was a clear effort to erase it from our memory, our collective memories, from the news and everyday conversations. For a long time, schools in Tulsa didn't even teach it, let alone schools elsewhere. And most people didn't realize that a century ago, the second Ku Klux Klan had been founded. The second Ku Klux Klan had been founded. A friend of mine, John Meacham, I'd written when I said I was running to restore the soul of America. He wrote a book called The Soul of America, not because of what I said. And there's a picture about page 160 in the book showing over 30,000 Ku Klux Klan members in full regalia, Reverend, pointed hats, the robes, marching down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., Jesse, you know all about this. Washington, D.C. If my memory is correct, there were 37 members of the House of Representatives who were open members of the Klan. There were 5, if I'm not mistaken, could have been 7, I think it was 5 members of the United States Senate, open members of the Klan. Multiple governors were open members of the Klan. Most people didn't realize that a century ago the Klan was founded just 6 years before the horrific destruction here in Tulsa. And one of the reasons why it was founded was because of guys like me who are Catholic. It wasn't about African Americans then. It was about making sure that all those Polish and Irish and Italian and Eastern European Catholics who came to the United States after World War I would not pollute Christianity.
Right. Remember that a lot of these things are really Protestant white movements. Protestant. So a lot of Catholics were bad under that paradigm.
Millions of white Americans belonged to the Klan, and they weren't even embarrassed by it. They were proud of it. And that hate became embedded systematically and systemically in our laws and our culture. We do ourselves no favors by pretending none of this ever happened, or or it doesn't impact us today, because it does still impact us today. We can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know. We should know the good, the bad, everything. That's what great nations do. They come to terms with their dark sides. And we're a great nation. The only way to build a common ground is to truly repair and to rebuild. I come here to help fill the silence, because in silence, wounds deepen. And only, as painful as it is, only in remembrance do wounds heal. We just have to choose to remember. We memorialize what happened here in Tulsa, so it can't be erased. We know here, in this hallowed place, we simply can't bury pain and trauma forever. And at some point, there'll be a reckoning, an inflection point, like we're facing right now as a nation. What many people hadn't seen before or simply refused to see cannot be ignored any longer. You see it in so many places. And there's greater recognition that for too long, we've allowed a narrowed, cramped view of the promise of this nation to fester. The view that America is a zero-sum game, where there's only one winner. If you succeed, I fail. If you get ahead, I fall behind. If you get a job, I lose mine. And maybe worst of all, if I hold you down, I lift myself up. Instead of, if you do well, we all do well.
Right.
We see that in Greenwood. This story isn't about the loss of life, but a loss of living, of wealth and prosperity and possibilities that still reverberates today. Mother Fletcher talks about how she was the only able to attend school in the 4th grade and eventually found work in the shipyards as a domestic worker. Mr. Van Ellis has shared how even after enlisting and serving in World War II, he still came home to struggle with a segregated America. Imagine all those hotels and dinners and mom and pop shops that could have been passed down this past 100 years. Imagine what could have been done for black families in Greenwood. Financial security and generational wealth. If you come from backlines like my family, working class, middle class family, the only way we ever able to generate any wealth was inequity in our homes. Imagine what they contributed then and what they could have contributed all these years. Imagine a thriving Greenwood in North Tulsa for the last 100 years, what that would have meant for all of Tulsa, including the white community. While the people of Greenwood rebuilt again in the years after the massacre, it didn't last. Eventually, neighborhoods were redlined on maps, locking black Tulsa out of home ownership. A highway was built right through the heart of the community. Lisa, I was talking about our west side, what 95 did after we were occupied by the military, after Dr. King was murdered. The community, cutting off black families and businesses from jobs and opportunity. Chronic underinvestment from state and federal governments denied Greenwood even just a chance of rebuilding. We must find the courage to change the things we know we can change. That's what Vice President Harris and I are focused on, along with our entire administration, including our Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Marcia Fudge, who's here today.
Yeah, shouldn't he be ranting about flushing toilets or heat or air conditioning or something soon? It's weird not to hear that.
Because today we're announcing 2 expanded efforts targeted toward black wealth creation that will also help the entire community. The first is my administration has launched an aggressive effort to combat racial discrimination in housing. That includes everything from redlining to the cruel fact that a home owned by a black family is too often appraised at lower value than a similar home owned by a white family.
Right.
And I might add, and I need help if you have answered this one, I can't figure this one out, Congressman Horsford, but if you live in a black community and there's another one on the other side of the highway, it's a white community, it's built by the same builder, and you have a better driving record than the guy with the same car in the white community, you're getting paid more for your auto insurance. Shockingly, the percentage of black American home ownership is lower today in America than when the Fair Housing Act was passed more than 50 years ago. Lower today. That's wrong. And we're committed to changing that. Just imagine if instead of denying millions of Americans the ability to own their own home and build generational wealth, we made it possible for them to buy a home and build equity into that home and provide for their families. Second, small businesses are the engines of our economy and the glue of our communities. As president, my administration oversees hundreds of billions of dollars in federal contracts for everything from refurbishing decks of aircraft carriers to installing railings in federal buildings to professional services. We have a thing called, I won't go into it all, but there's not enough time now, but I'm determined to use every taxpayer's dollar that is assigned to me to spend going to American companies and American workers that build American products. And as part of that, I'm going to increase the share of the dollars the federal government spends to small disadvantaged businesses, including black and brown small businesses. Right now it calls for 10%. I'm going to move that to 15% of every dollar spent when we spent the law. I have the authority to do that. Just imagine if instead of denying millions of entrepreneurs the ability to access capital and contracting, we made it possible to take their dreams to the marketplace to create jobs and invest in our communities. The data shows young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are. But they don't have lawyers, they don't have accountants, but they have great ideas. Does anyone doubt this whole nation would be better off from the investments those people make? And I promise you, that's why I set up this National Small Business Administration that's much broader, because they're going to get those loans. Instead of consigning millions of American children to under-resourced schools, let's get each and every child 3 and 4 years old access to school, not daycare, school. In the last 10 years, studies have been done by all the great universities. It shows that it increased by 56% the possibility of a child, no matter what background they come from, no matter what. If they start school at 3 years old, they have a 56% chance of going all through all 12 years without any trouble and being able to do well. And a chance to learn and grow and thrive in a school and throughout their lives. And let's unlock more than an incredible creativity and innovation that will come from the nation's historically black colleges and universities. I have a $5 billion a year program giving them the resources to invest in research centers and laboratories in high-demand fields to compete for good-paying jobs in industries of the future like cybersecurity. The reason why they don't, their students are equally able to learn as well and get the good-paying jobs that start at $90,000 and $100,000. But they don't have the money to provide and build those laboratories. So guess what? They're going to get the money to build those laboratories. So instead of just talking about infrastructure, let's get about the business of actually rebuilding roads and highways, filling the sidewalks and cracks, installing streetlights and high-speed internet, creating space to live and work and play safely. Let's ensure access to health care, clean water, clean air, nearby grocery stores, stocked with fresh vegetables and food that in fact deal with. I mean, these are all things we can do. Does anyone doubt this whole nation will be better off with these investments? The rich will be just as well off, the middle class will do better, and everybody will do better. It's about good paying jobs, financial stability, and being able to build some generational wealth. It's about economic growth for our country and outcompeting the rest of the world, which is now outcompeting us. But just as fundamental as any of these investments I've discussed is maybe the most fundamental: the right to vote. Yeah. The right to vote. A lot of the members of the Black Caucus knew John Lewis better than I did, but I knew him. On his deathbed, like many, I called John to speak to him. Rev, all John wanted to do is talk about how I was doing. He died, I think, about 25 hours later. But you know what John said? He called the right to vote precious, almost sacred. He said the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have in a democratic society. This sacred right is under assault with incredible intensity like I've never seen, even though I got started as a public defender and a civil rights lawyer. With an intensity and aggressiveness that we've not seen in a long, long time. It's simply un-American. It's not, however, sadly, unprecedented. The creed, "We shall overcome," is a long-time mainstay of the civil rights movement, as Jesse Jackson can tell you better than anybody. The obstacle to progress that have to be overcome are a constant challenge. We saw it in the 60s, but with the current assault is not just an echo of a distant history. In 2020, we faced a tireless assault on the right to vote. Restrictive laws, lawsuits, threats of intimidation, voter purges, and more. We resolved to overcome it all, and we did. More Americans voted in the last election than in the midst of a pandemic, than any election in American history.
Not even close, really.
You got voters registered. You got voters to the polls. The rule of law held. Democracy prevailed. We overcame. But today, let me be unequivocal.
Right.
I've been engaged in this work my whole career, and we're going to be ramping up our efforts to overcome again. I will have more to say about this at a later date, a truly unprecedented assault on our democracy, an effort to replace nonpartisan election administrators and to intimidate those charged with tallying and reporting the election results. But today, as for the act of voting itself, I urge voting rights groups in this country to begin to redouble their efforts now to register and educate voters. And in June should be a month of action on Capitol Hill. I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done? Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House and a tie in the Senate, with 2 members of the Senate who vote more with my Republican friends. But we're not giving up. Earlier
There's a call out.
Representative passed For the People Act to protect our democracy. The Senate will take it up later this month, and I'm going to fight like heck with every tool at my disposal for its passage. The House is also working on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is critical to providing new legal tools to combat the new assault on the right to vote. To signify the importance of our efforts, today I'm asking Vice President Harris to help these efforts and lead them among her many other responsibilities. With her leadership and your support, we're going to overcome again, I promise you, but it's going to take a hell of a lot of work. And finally, we must address what remains the stain on the soul of America. What happened in Greenwood was an act of hate and domestic terrorism with a through line that exists today still. Just close your eyes. And remember what you saw in Charlottesville 4 years ago on television.
Uh-oh.
Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the KKK, coming out of those fields at night, Virginia, with lighted torches, the veins bulging on their, as they were screaming. Remember, just close your eyes and picture what it was. Well, Mother Fletcher said when she saw the insurrection at the Capitol on January the 9th, it broke her heart. A mob of violent white extremists, thugs, said reminded her of what happened here in Greenwood 100 years ago. Look around at the various hate crimes against Asian Americans and Jewish Americans. Hate that never goes away. Hate only hides. Jesse, I think I mentioned this to you. I thought after you guys pushed through with Dr. King, the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, I thought we were moved. What I didn't realize, I thought we had made enormous progress, and I was so proud to be a little part of it. But you know what, Rev? I didn't realize hate's never defeated. It only hides.
Right.
It hides. And given a little bit of oxygen, just a little bit of oxygen by its leaders, it comes out of there from under the rock like it was happening again, as if it never went away. And so, folks, we must not give hate a safe harbor. As I said in my address to the joint session of Congress, according to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
Wow.
Not ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, white supremacists.
Wow.
That's not me. That's the intelligence community under both Trump and under my administration. 2 weeks ago,
That'll be called racist by Republicans.
COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, which the House had passed and the Senate. My administration will soon lay out our broader strategy to counter domestic terrorism and the violence driven by the most heinous hate crimes and other forms of bigotry. But I'm going to close where I started.
Please.
To Mother Randall, Mother Fletcher, Mr. Van Ellis, to the descendants, and to all survivors, thank you. Thank you for giving me the honor of being able to spend some time with you earlier today. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your commitment. And thank your children and your grandchildren and your uncle and your nieces and your nephews. To see and learn from you is a gift, a genuine gift. Dr. John Hope Franklin, one of America's greatest historians, Tulsa's proud son, whose father was a Greenwood survivor, said, and I quote, "Whatever you do, it must be done in the spirit of goodwill and mutual respect and even love. How else can we overcome the past and be worthy of our forebears and face the future with confidence and with hope?" On this sacred and solemn day, may we find that distinctly Greenwood spirit that defines the American spirit, a spirit that gives me so much confidence and hope for the future, that helps us see face to face, a spirit that helps us know fully who we are and who we can be as a people and as a nation. I've never been more optimistic about the future than I am today. I mean that. The reason is because of this new generation of young people. They're the best educated. They're the least prejudiced. They're the most open generation in American history. And although I have no scientific basis for what I'm about to say, but those of you who are over 50, how often did you ever see advertisements on television with black and white couples? Not a joke. I challenge you, find today, when you turn on the stations, sit on one station for 2 hours, and I don't know how many commercials you'll see, lay 8 to 5. 2 to 3 out of 5 have mixed race couples in them. That's not by accident. They're selling soap, man. Not a joke. Remember old Pat Goodell used to say, you want to know what's happened in American culture? watch advertising because they want to sell what they have. We have hope in folks like you, honey.
There is another interpretation of that, but
we have hope, but we've got to give them support. We have got to give them the backbone to do what we know has to be done. Because I doubt whether any of you would be here if you didn't care deeply about this. You're sure the devil didn't come to hear me speak. But I really mean it. I really mean it. Let's not give up, man. Let's not give up. As the old saying goes, hope springs eternal. I know we've talked a lot about famous people, but my colleagues in the Senate used to always kid me because I was always quoting Irish poets. They think I did it because I'm Irish. They think I did it because, as we Irish, we have a little chip on our shoulder, a little bit sometimes. That's not why I did it. I did it because they're the best poets in the world.
Right.
You can smile. It's okay. It's true. There was a famous poet who wrote a poem called The Cure at Troy, Seamus Heaney. And there's a stanza in it that I think is the definition of what I think should be our call today for young people. He said, history teaches us not to hope on this side of the grave, but then, once in a lifetime, that longed-for tidal wave of justice rises up, and hope and history rhyme. Let's make it rhyme. Thank
you. There is President Joe Biden in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A very solid speech. And a lot going on there. Now, a lot of interesting reactions. First, it is strange not to hear anything about plumbing. I mean, as we've become used to it, and Marjorie Taylor Packman sends a super chat saying overall good, but disappointed he didn't discuss elements of bathrooms very strongly. He also ignored the eyesore windmills and forest management. I know, it's like it just doesn't feel like a presidential speech if you're not mentioning flushing a toilet 15 times. We've all become accustomed to it. Now, more seriously, Edward Tyler says, maybe it's just me, but I don't understand how people in this day and age can still be racist. There are so many problems that are so much bigger than where someone comes from or what color of the skin. That's exactly why we see that. That's part of it. When the real problems that have to be solved depend on so many different things, and we're looking at a combination of complex geopolitics and the eroding of natural resources and the irreversible impact we're having on the planet, and the fact that the rich and corporations have disproportionate control over our election systems, and blah, 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 blah. You know, the problem must be black people committing crime and brown people taking our jobs. It's because it's simple and because the real problems are complicated. That's exactly why you continue to see it, right? That's what I think. It's backwards. You're right. My view is yours. With everything we're up against, we're still doing racism and xenophobia and all of this different stuff. But that's exactly why, because people would love to have something simple to blame than actually seriously deal with the issues that we have to deal with. Okay, so quite an event. And I thought it was overall a very, very good speech. I do want to say I'm sorry I missed so many people. Luis Alvarado signed up on my website with the coupon code Memorial21. Richard Vendetti signed up with the code Logan Butcher, taking advantage of the discount. Tom McDowell using the coupon code Felony21 on my website. That's dangerous. Franly Branched using the coupon code. Really appreciate everybody there. As well as all of the great Twitch subscribers, Necrofix and Bit101, What the Spock, and all of these folks. Remember that the second channel is live. You can find it at davidpakman.com/PakmanLive. Look at that little bump we just got. Now, do people want me to preview what the garden looks like today? I've not shown you my garden for weeks. Everything is most things are robust. My chard isn't looking good. We're going to be publishing that to the new YouTube channel soon. But do people want to see what is going on? Last time I showed my garden, I got an angry email from someone saying, "Don't you dare show us your stinkweeds." People want to see it? All right. Let's take a look at it. Let me get this set up here. Hold on. Hold on a second. I've got to make sure everything is looking right. A full garden tour will soon be published to the new YouTube channel. That's NUU, new. But let's take a look at this one. Let me do slow motion. Speed slower. So first of all, just to start with, my Swiss chard is dying. That's the Swiss chard on the right. I'm just going to have to pull them. My pepper plant is still looking good, but the Swiss chard, it's just not working. Okay, and it's been raining a lot, but this pepper plant is looking good. There's actually already some nubs on it. Half the people are saying it needs more rain. Half the people saying there's too much rain. Listen, guys, it's just going to be what it is. Okay, it's just going to be what it is. The pepper plant is looking strong. Here's my gourmet purple lettuce. Actually, two types of lettuce. There's these leaves, and then there's this kind of stuff down here. It's beautifully producing salads. Tremendous, really, really good salads. So that's great stuff. Look at my mint. It's going and going and going. I haven't touched this. Mint is a perennial. It came back on its own. These fuzzy leaves are one species. I thought I wasn't getting my other kind back, but down here you're starting to see the non-fuzzy leaves grow back. And the mint is just, by the end of the season, this thing is just green everywhere. Green everywhere. Beautiful mint. I think I've got peppermint and spearmint and everything. Look at that. Just really strong. My Genovese basil looking nice. Here's another tomato plant. Now, I did send a message to Kevin at Epic Gardening saying, I've got this tomato plant. It's got two main stems. Do I need to cut a main stem? Do I at some point need to go one way or the other and just say, here's the main stem and we've got to cut it? Or can they both grow in parallel? A little more Genovese basil here looking nice. Look at, by the way, the new growth. If you compare this to my original video, where I had maybe like 2 or 3 sets of leaves, this is just going. It's going great. Here's my flat leaf parsley. Here's another tomato plant, my sun golds. Some of the leaves are not looking great. See how there's a little bit of what some might call disease on these lower leaves. I could just cut them. Again, it's a 2-stem situation. I've been pulling the suckers. Do I need to cut one of those? Here's my big tomato plant. And as you can see, I've really, those bottom, these bottom 8 or so inches, I've completely cleared. And we're already getting some nice flowers here. Tomatoes are going to be forming soon. We've pulled all the suckers. So there you see some flowers. Going to have some tomatoes soon. Beautiful. Beautiful. Here are my cukes. I planted the cukes late, so they're really, really small still. Small cukes. I'd love big cukes, but they're small. They're starting to go up the trellis, as you can see. I don't know what we're going to get there. Look at these snap peas. Now, this is something else. I've got 4 of these. They are beautiful. There's already, here's one green pea. See, snap pea. I forget what these even are. Here's one. Here's a second one. Here's a third one. All these flowers, they're beautifully climbing. The one thing I'm worried about is down near the soil. It's turning a little yellow. This happened last year with my zooks. But these, I think, are going to be nice. That's going to be really nice. Here's another pepper plant. We've got some pepper nubs here. You can already see that's looking pretty good. Here's one more tomato plant. We've got a few flowers going there. Those will soon be tomatoes. One more pepper plant with a couple more nubs. If you're going to write to me and say, David, sir, these are too close together, just skip it. I know, guys. I know. We'll just see what happens, okay? Everybody relax. Little nub there that I'm pointing out. Beautiful. This is my Greek oregano. It's just on fire. It's like a clown wig, quite frankly. That came back on its own, and it's fantastic. Here are my Japanese eggplants. The one on the right was planted earlier than the one on the left. They never look great, but they just keep growing. They just keep growing. So we'll see if we get some Japanese eggplants. Here's my cilantro, very nice, or coriander, as some of our British, Indian, and other friends will say. Here is my Italian oregano. Again, it's like a clown wig. It's just gigantic. It's got to be, we've already made pesto. Here's my English time, again, looking almost perfect. And this is the star. This is my second year strawberry plant. Already pulled 3 strawberries. Look at the size of those strawberries, and they are everywhere. There, you look under a leaf and you find 5 strawberries. The second plant, it's just berries and look, like there's a little tucked away. Here's another one. It's just incredible. It's great stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, by the way, let me see where this is. Right here, this is another runner. This right here is a new strawberry plant. The roots are in, and next year this will probably be full bush. It's trying to escape. It's trying to escape. So that's going on, and it's all looking pretty good. And look, 1,600, new milestone, 1,600 subscribers on the new YouTube channel, Pac-Man Live, where I'll have a more detailed walkthrough of the garden. So, guys, a lot happening. A lot happening, and extremely, extremely exciting. Big thank you to Trevor Hufford. I appreciate Trevor just signed up on my website with the coupon code Memorial21 and his new member number 28. All right, so very exciting, everything that's happening, garden updates and all sorts of other things coming very soon. Thank you for joining me on this very important 100th. Whoa, hold on. Oh, everything going wrong. Here was the speech. Joe Biden delivering a speech on the 100th anniversary, the centennial of the Tulsa Massacre. We will be back very soon. Full Noam Chomsky interview live on YouTube in 3 hours, okay? We will see you then.